Welcome back to another console collector video. Hey everybody, console collector here. Today we're going to take a look at every retail released full variation Nintendo GameCube. Now, as a little disclaimer, by full variation I mean a console that is completely different from another system. So, systems like this Pokemon XD GameCube, it's simply just a Platinum GameCube with a medallion swap. There are several of these medallion swapped GameCubes out there, such as the Metal Gear Solid, the Pokemon Coliseum in Japan, the Donkey Konga medallion swap, and this Pokemon XD medallion swap. Now, as cool as these are, this is not considered a full variation of the Nintendo GameCube. So with that out of the way, let's get started looking at every full variation Nintendo GameCube. So starting off, you see we have this Indigo GameCube. When you hear GameCube, typically you think of this little purple lunchbox. This is the most famous one. This is the one that you've seen in the ads. This is the GameCube. So just a quick little overview of the hardware while we're here. At the top here, you have your power button, reset, and open button. Got your medallion there. There's an orange light, power light that's here. Takes the mini discs. You got 4 controller ports, 2 memory card slots. You got your fan, your exhaust port, your handle, you got your power here, your analog out, and your digital AV out. Now, later versions of the GameCube have a black back here and deleted this port. This is the port for the infamous component cables, or the most recent aftermarket mod, the HDMI plug-and-play. Now, this thing on the bottom here, this is the Game Boy player for the GameCube. It plays Game Boy, Game Boy Color, and Game Boy Advance games on the big screen through your GameCube. Now, you may be wondering, what's this purple one? In North America, we only got the black Game Boy player. But there are actually several colors of the Game Boy player released throughout the world. The Game Boy players themselves are region-free, but you do need the boot disc for the Game Boy player to match the region of your console. Unless it's modded, obviously. So on the Game Boy player, you see you have your link cable port. Games go here. You have your little eject button. And it just kind of screws onto the bottom. So that's that. This is the Indigo controller that it came with. Matching controller. Pretty standard looking GameCube controller. Before we move on, I did want to show that Hori actually made a GameCube controller that is compatible with the Game Boy player. It's basically a Super Nintendo controller. It is official. Well, it has GameCube on it, but it is made by Hori. This is a great controller, actually. I just played through Mother 3 with it. It works really well. Good little controller. Very expensive, but they do have a Game Boy player controller for the Nintendo GameCube. Alright, so that's the GameCube. Let's get on to these variations. So that's the Indigo. Next up, we have the Jet Black. It's black. Another common GameCube. This is one of 3 of the console variations we got in North America. This one has the matching black Game Boy player, which we only got black here in North America. Pretty standard unit. It's black. And then we have the matching black controller. Interesting thing about the GameCube controllers is the plugs are actually color matched with the controller, as you'll see later on. That way you also know if it's been switched out or repaired. So that's the black. Next up, this is the final variation we got in North America. That is the Platinum. It's a nice matte silver. This was my favorite of the North American release GameCubes. This is the one I had growing up. Started with an Indigo and ended up getting the Platinum because it was limited edition. Little did I know that these things are everywhere. I actually see this color more than any of the other two released in North America. So that's the Platinum. This one has the Platinum GameCube or Game Boy player attached to the bottom of the GameCube. So that's the Platinum. And then, of course, you have the matching controller. So that's the Platinum. Now, that's it for the North American consoles. We're going to take a look at some Japanese and PAL region. So starting off, we have the Spice Orange. Now this is one that you may have seen. It's pretty popular. These get imported fairly often from Japan and modded for North American use. It's a great color. This one has the matching orange Game Boy player. Very wild color, very cool, very pumpkin colored. Now, here we have the matching Spice Orange controller. Now we did get the controller in North America of this color, but not the console. Which is odd, but fair enough. So, that's the Spice Orange. Moving along, we're going to look at, this is a PAL exclusive Nintendo GameCube. This is the Resident Evil 4 Nintendo GameCube. Now, what are you thinking? Hey, I thought you said you weren't going to do just medallion swaps. Well, this one kind of is considered as a full variation, simply because the medallion, also, it's actually two-toned. So this one does fall into the full variation. You can see there, it's got the PAL branding on it. So it's basically a Platinum GameCube with a jet black bottom with a Resident Evil 4 medallion. Another cool thing about this one is it has the matching controller, which is also two-toned. So that also falls into the full variation as a matching controller with the Resident Evil 4 logo replacing the Nintendo GameCube logo. So again, this is a PAL exclusive GameCube, two-toned. Next up, we are getting into the semi-rare consoles now. This here is the Tales of Symphonia Mint Green, or Symphonic Green as it's known, GameCube. This one was released in Japan and I believe in France. The France version is far more rare. I have the Japanese version here. It's got the nice Tales of Symphonia medallion here. It's a really nice color. Now, here is the mint green Game Boy Advance player on the bottom here. And here you can see that this is the, oh, I can't show that actually. It doesn't say Japan, but it is the Japanese version. So, nice little color. This one actually I feel is kind of underrated. You don't see people talk about it very much. It's a great color. Then here we have the matching controller. Mint green. It's nice. So that's the Tales of Symphonia GameCube. Now, while we're in the PAL region, we have the Pearl White Nintendo GameCube. Now there's a bit of history with this one. There's actually two pearl white GameCubes, which I'll show you the other one next. There's a lot of debate that these are different. I don't really consider them different variations from each other. They're both pearl white with matching pearl white controllers. But you can see it's got a matte pearl finish. This is a beautiful GameCube, by the way. And this is a newer release, you can see. It's got the black. And then this is the PAL version. This is Euro. So that's the PAL pearl white. And then we got the matching pearl white controller. Beautiful controller. I feel like the finish is almost pretty thin on these. I'm almost scared to use this controller. But pearl white GameCube. This thing is just beautiful. So that's the PAL pearl white. Moving on, we have the Japanese pearl white, which is known as the Final Fantasy Crystal Chronicles Nintendo GameCube. This one is super rare. It's basically the same color. You know, I've done some comparisons side by side, and you can see here there's not much difference. It's honestly, they're both pearl white. Nonetheless, some people consider them variations. If you're a console collector like me, I would just settle for one. You're probably going to find the PAL one a lot easier than you will the Final Fantasy Crystal Chronicles. Now, the one thing about the Final Fantasy Crystal Chronicles GameCube is it actually came with a matching Game Boy player, which I'm very fortunate to have. As you can see here, it's a pearl white Game Boy player. And it is just beautiful. Beautiful, beautiful system, these pearl whites. This actually is my Final Fantasy Crystal Chronicles memory card that I got with the system. Which it didn't come with the system, from what I've researched, but it came with my system. So, that's the Final Fantasy Crystal Chronicles Nintendo GameCube. And again, we got the matching controller. Can't stress it enough. Very beautiful pearl white GameCube. That's the Final Fantasy Crystal Chronicles version. Now we're on the topic of rare. Here we have the Starlight Gold. Now this is a very subtle gold, which it may look platinum to you in this video, but if I hold it like this, you can see it's definitely a very faint gold. This was a Toys R Us exclusive in Japan, so it's pretty rare. This is definitely up there as some of the rarest retail release GameCubes. You can see the gold, and then here's just the platinum. You can kind of see the difference there. So that's the Starlight Gold. This is another Japanese only console. And then here we have the matching gold Nintendo GameCube controller. Nice gold. It's a different gold from the N64 gold, I've noticed. So that's the Starlight Gold. Next up, we're getting into the very rare now. This here is the Hanshin Tigers Nintendo GameCube. This is the box for it over here, so you may have seen earlier in the video. You knew it was coming. This was like to celebrate in 2003 this Japanese baseball team winning their league, whatever they do over there, their pennant, I guess. I don't know. This is just a basic like stone white GameCube with black stripes, like a baseball jersey. Stripes go throughout. This one actually has a matching Game Boy player, but it's just black, as you can see kind of over there. so I left it off. No stripes on the bottom though, interesting enough. This one also has a controller that goes with the system. It's just a jet black controller, but it has this team logo on it here. The H and the T for Hanshin Tigers. So that's the Hanshin Tigers Nintendo GameCube. It's a pretty similar kind of release deal as like the Just Go. Or it's the Diehawks N64, that's what it is. For the baseball team. Alright, we got 2 more to go. We're going to save the coolest one for last, I guess. But the runner-up, we have the Gundam GameCube. This is, I believe the official name is the Char's Custom Nintendo GameCube. I'm not a big fan of Gundam Wing or anything like that, so I couldn't really tell you a whole lot about it. Besides, it's red, has this cool medallion, which you can kind of see if any of you guys know anything about Char, I believe, from Gundam Wing. So it's got this medallion. It's red. Now this is what's cool. It's got the black controller face here and memory card ports. This is the only GameCube that does this. So it also has a red Game Boy player. Now, it's actually intentionally done a different red. Mine's not faded or whatever have you. That's the intention of it. Two-toned. So, that's the Chars. This particular one has a matching controller. There's that logo again. And it's also two-toned, like the console. Now it does have this interesting sticker here, which other controllers do not have. You can definitely see it's two-toned. So that's the Char's Custom Nintendo GameCube. Alright, we're down to the last one. You can probably guess what it is. This is my personal holy grail for Nintendo GameCube console collecting. It's virtually impossible to find one that works these days properly. So I am talking about the mighty Panasonic Q. Now this thing has a reflective mirror on here. As you can see, it's reflecting myself in my game room. This is a beautiful, beautiful GameCube with the mirror finish. It has 4 controller ports that do light up blue. This is basically a DVD player built into a GameCube. This was released only in Japan. It did not do well. I'm actually just going to adjust this down a little bit so you can see the full GameCube. Has a nice display up here. It's very wide in comparison, and you can see it's longer, and it is taller. The back here looks like something straight out of like your home theater. It's got the digital output here and power, lots of little ports here. It's a big like metal body. It's still got the traditional handles, just a little different. There you can see the Nintendo GameCube logo. So that's the Panasonic Q. And it has an ugly matching controller, which is this like primer gray GameCube controller that says Panasonic. Yep, that's yeah, they make this beautiful system, and then they give you this really generic looking controller. My assumption is they made it to kind of not stand out in your home theater setup, because that maybe what the goal was. This was more of a home theater kind of deal with stereo and DVD playback, more so than a video game console. Got your buttons up there. Alright, so that's it. That's every retail released Nintendo GameCube. Full variations, I might add. Just, if you guys have a favorite or want to know more about any of these GameCubes, please let me know in the comments. My personal favorite of all these GameCubes, as you may have guessed, would have to be the Final Fantasy or Pearl White GameCube. Just because of the sheer beauty of this thing. The color is just phenomenal. My runner-up would be the Platinum, but that's more nostalgic purposes for me. That's the one I grew up with, and I think it looks nice. Doesn't have to be rare to be nice. But what's your guys' favorite GameCube? I'd love to know. Did you guys know about all these GameCubes? And, of course, if there's any I missed, which I don't believe I did, that are full variations that are retail released, please let me know. Because I want to collect every console of the GameCube eventually, including the medallion ones, and if I ever get lucky enough to run into the MTV one, or the Heineken one, or even some NR readers. But for now, I'm just collecting the retail released ones. So that's going to wrap up this variation console, GameCube console video. I want to thank everybody for watching. I'm the console collector. And until the next video, happy gaming.